Good morning, everyone. This is Rama on Riding, coming to you live from a beautiful, soon-to-be sunny Kailua Kona, Hawaii. I am very thankful that I'm not in the heat of the Southwest this summer, at least for another month. That was always the hardest part about the summer in Sedona, is that it's hot, but it's hot for a long time, and even into September and October it can be a hot time. So I'll be joining you all back home in another 30 days or so. I'm under 30 days here, and we have our retreat schedule starting. So if anyone wants to be part of the remote retreat in Sedona, August 27th, let me know. I may be able to get you a screaming deal from Tom, since we're going to be doing remote anyway. We all have been kind of trying to sort out social media and hashtags and blogging and contact software and websites and writing our book at the same time. So we do have our challenge ahead of us, and Mary really asked the most poignant question: is what is all this stuff and how does it help me? And and it's really a little bit of a reach in many cases, because we're not 15-year-old kids or 20-year-old kids. If we had M online here, he would tell us a whole different perspective of how social media works in his world, being a mid-20s guy. And most of us are on the edge of being senior citizens. I had my 59th birthday this year and never thought I'd make it that far. And if anything, maybe I'm a little bit more geared towards utilizing some of these methods, because I feel that I'm really just a kid at heart, and I do like being up on the trends. And one of the things that I've been thinking about, and I'm sure that this is, other people have done this, and that there are places to go where this information exists, is that, each of the different social medias has a specific demographic. And when I say demographic, I'm really talking about an age group as its major participants, and they are not static. Initially Facebook was for a younger generation than it is today, and as it's been established for a longer period of time, it starts to get a little bit older. And you've all heard the story when I first started talking about Instagram, how the kids do post on Facebook to show their parents that they're all doing good things and they're not getting into trouble. And then on Instagram, they're actually posting the pictures of themselves getting into trouble. And so, it becomes rather clear what the demographic difference is between an Instagram and a Facebook. And those are the two that I tend to utilize more than Twitter, Pinterest, Google Plus, LinkedIn. I haven't really gotten too involved in Tumblr. I just don't know exactly how to reach the demographic that we need to sell our books. So one of the things that we look at is a broad-based approach to social media. Okay, I've noticed that certain people will gravitate to one type, or maybe two social medias, maybe three. There's an affinity. While Mary mentioned that she couldn't really grasp Pinterest, I've spoken to many authors that like the Pinterest. Okay, now, not to say that they have sorted out the answer to Mary's question, is how does it help me? But they just like the idea of posting pictures. And I can see that is an easy approach, because you don't have to really think about what to write. You just take a picture and you post it, and you're on to the next picture. And truly, that's what I like about Instagram, is that it's basically a non-text sort of social media. And if you missed my first comment before the recording started, after the webinar on Saturday, I thought, well, since I talked about hashtags, I might as well experiment and put a few hashtags on my post. So I use the hashtag Hawaiian Magic, which is the name that I use on Pinterest. And then since the picture that I first posted was a Hawaiian sunset, I thought, well, hashtag Hawaiian sunset. And then the next day, instead of a actual Hawaiian sunset, I found a mural with the Hawaiian sunset, so I did it all again. Well, I was pretty astounded at the result. I had new people following me immediately. And I know that it wasn't the picture, it was the hashtag, or the use of the hashtag, that somehow made me findable. And so, you know, boy, that was really interesting. Now, what the next step is the question that Mary really raised is, well, how does this help me in promoting my book? And one of the things that we have to get over, and this is a little difficult, but this is ultimately, I think, an important jump, is that we're not really promoting our book, we're promoting ourselves. We're really getting our energy out there. And we're all very unique people. We all have great ideas. We all have great books, which is part of what we do. But ultimately, through the blogging and the social media, you are establishing a group of, you're finding your tribe, essentially, okay? And that tribe may buy your book, or it may not buy your book right away. And our goal with the use of social media is to get out there, to connect with people. It's called networking. Now, you go to a networking meeting, and there's tons of them. We don't have Jack on board over the last year, but Jack Terry is this, you know, great little, he's a little guy. He's 85 years old. He wrote a book about business, and for the first year of his promotion, he would go to 6 or 7 network meetings a week, and sometimes he'd go to 2 or 3 a day. Some of them were luncheons, some of them were gatherings, and his strategy was, you know, in all these meetings, he always had a name tag. And so, you know, Jack, being a really smart guy, he said, boy, I'm going to make my own name tag, and I'm going to put on that Jack Terry author. And so what happened was that instead of, you know, when he started having conversations with people and introducing himself, he didn't, you know, he didn't have to ask, he didn't have to tell people right off the bat that he was an author. They asked him, what did you write about? Okay, so he kind of, you know, shifted everything. And that's one of the components about how we present ourselves in social media, in our profiles. Okay, if in our profiles we don't, you know, we don't state that we're an author, then it's harder for us to have that be part of our taglines, essentially, part of the key words that are behind us, so that other like-minded people are looking for authors, and they might not find you if you don't talk about it, or you don't have it into your backgrounds. So, Mary, the really key about social media is not trying to sell your book at the front end. Your real goal is to connect with people, share of yourself, and ultimately, if we can get them to engage, which is liking or commenting on a post, then we're halfway there. And periodically we can talk about our book, but one of the things that turns people off, and I know that you've all been turned off by this, is that when you encounter someone that's sell, sell, sell. And it goes back to the example I have always used about being a retailer. When somebody came in the door of my retail establishment, instead of trying to sell them something right away, what I would do is I would try to break the ice and become their friend. And that's ultimately what the goal of social media is to break the ice and become the friend and to start engaging in a conversation. And when it's appropriate to mention, hey, you know, I wrote this great book, maybe you'd like to read it. And if you've done your job and connected with that person through social media, there's a good chance that they're going to say, "Oh wow, Mary's such a cool person. I'm going to order her book." So, on the outward appearance, Anaria.
Okay, let's take someone like Mary. Mary, here's my impression with you. You do these fabulous photographs, which I really appreciate because I love fabulous photographs. Okay, and I love that you post so many. And you also, on Facebook, you post a lot of, good, juicy topics. Okay, but I don't have, here from my side is, I don't know the name of your book. I have no idea what it's about. I've never seen a quote on your book. So, for example, why can't you use, let's say, the morning sunrise? Like, I am so thankful I have been able to get up today because, and then use a line right out of your book of like a real juicy line, because I know you have them just because of who you are. And then there you go, that one line of here's the picture that grabbed people, here's your book, author, and then list the name of your book. Right there.
And then end the post with your hashtag. And we talked about this the other day. What's the hashtag? The Skyjacker's wife. Okay, and that's so unique that people are going to be intrigued by it. Okay, so you've kind of used a search term from your book, from the title of your book in your post, okay? And so the goal is that if every post that you do has that hashtag, when people were to search Skyjacker's wife, what would come up would be you. Okay, and that's part of the game. Now, as we talked last week, the information that I got was that you take a specific hashtag, which I consider a branding hashtag, Skyjacker's wife, a crystalline skull, Rama on riding, renegade mountain biker, let's see, Amy Dean was the lady engineer or something like that. I can't remember what we were talking about. So we each take a look at this sort of specific branding hashtag, and we stick with that come hell or high water, okay? Because we are establishing it. Yes, Mary. Hold on, let me unmute.
So we can put hashtags on Facebook posts and not just Twitter posts?
We can put hashtags in our blog, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. I mean, the way I see it, and you know, I tend to think sometimes that I'm a visionary because I see down the road. Okay, and I'm always looking 2 steps. You know, that's just the way my brain seems to work. Is that I always look 2 steps down, not by intention. It just happens that way because I have this skill set of connecting the dots. Hashtags are the wave of the future. Okay. Because it makes everything searchable. So it's not only the fact that we identify ourselves with hashtags, it's that we start to utilize them to search for new people, new things, especially within the social media environment. What we're going to find before long, and it's probably going on already, is that those hashtags in a broad Google search are going to start showing up our posts and our listings, and that's what shows up in the search window when we do those searches. So hashtags are, it's like your signature, your digital signature. Okay, so when you write a letter to somebody, you sign it sincerely, Mary Stevenson, and then you sign it, right? Well, the hashtag is our digital signature for our social media and our blogging and our emails and our newsletters and all the stuff that we use to help get the word out about what we stand for. Yes.
So Amy's been helpful here and emailing with me on the chat just now about memes, because I don't even really know the definition of that and how to use them properly. And it sounds like something that is also valuable for each of us to learn how to use for the sake of our book.
I'm going to unmute Mary or Amy here and let her about what she's mentioned. Amy, go.
Okay. Well, I've got an author friend, or I got to know this person from first reading his book and then introducing myself via email. And so conversation being what it is. But one of the things that he has done with his book is, he's written on a nonfiction subject, and he has chosen not his own photographs, but photographs, kind of public domain kinds of photographs that follow along on the theme that in general of the genre that he's writing about. And then he will pull quotes out of his book, or he's now got 5 books out now, but when I first was communicating with him, he just had just published the one. But he then puts in the quote, the page number it came from, and his pseudonym that he was writing under, his name. And then he posts this to Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, not constantly, but periodic, he's had these out for ages. He's got dozens of them. And he has an entire section of these memes on his website also. But he also in Facebook uses them as conversation starters, because some of the quotes are actually somewhat controversial, or it's things that are strong opinions of his, that sort of thing. So they're kind of themes, and they can go viral in and of themselves, but because if they're really juicy, other people will see them and want to share them on their own Facebook page and that sort of thing.
That is a wonderful strategy, and it's almost a page out of Denise's book. Okay, Denise tends to utilize pictures, like the cover of the book or something like that, and then the quotes from the book in the post. And it's very similar to what Amy is talking about. They are.
It also goes beyond that. You just kind of pull it out from whatever makes sense for your particular book or your particular, what you're trying to get across.
And there is a way that you can actually go to Google Images and you can select copyright-free images so that you're not infringing upon anybody. Now, I'm not sure if ultimately if you reposted an image that wasn't copyright-free, you'd get into trouble or not. I mean, you could always, identify who was the artist or the photographer or the creator of that image. But there are, number one, there are websites that you can pay a fee, to gain access to, images, image files. They're usually very inexpensive, and there might be a monthly fee, and you can take as much and use as much as from those sites as you can, want to. There's certainly a rather easy way that you can find copyright-free images in Google Images, and there's two categories that you can use. One is copyright-free with modification, and then the other is just copyright-free. And although you may not find the exact image that you're looking for, and I just saying that because I've often looked at, for book covers in the copyright free, and sometimes you don't find exactly what you're looking for. When you're using it to post to social media, then you have a bigger, target essentially. You don't have to be as pinpointed, and so you can pull some images and then put the comments that you have, whether it's something from your book or something from your life. And in doing that, you do establish a kind of a system, and if you stick with it, you will grow your network, okay? And I think that that's one of the keys that at first is a very frustrating scenario, is that we go and we get the images and we put the text on, we put our hashtag in there, and two people like the image, and they say, well, that wasn't that successful. But if you continue and do it day after day, eventually you're going to stumble on an image that starts to be shared. Okay, and once the momentum starts on an image, you never know exactly when you hit the tipping point. Whether you have to have 1,000 images with your quotes on it, or 100 or 10, or whether it's just stumbling onto that one image that attracts a viral capacity. So it's hard to develop a step-by-step and say, well, in X amount of time, you will, reach your audience. It's almost a trust that if you stay with this, so you stay with the blogging, you stay with the social media, you stay with the hashtags, eventually you're going to become more successful. Your posts are going to go longer, and you're going to have a whole body of Mary Stevenson posts out there, Mary Stevenson blogs. And so eventually, when you hit that tipping point and you're found, you have that body out there in the internet, in the webosphere. And the frustration point is at the front end, because it appears that it's not going anywhere. You're writing these great blog postings, you're posting it up on your website, and nobody's commenting. And you're saying, well, gosh, why am I even doing this if nobody comments? And it's very, I've talked to, a lot of you over time, and that is one of the things I've heard over and over again, is the level of frustration from not getting the engagement that you're hoping for. And if you listen to, we don't have Tom Pitts here on the line today, but Tom is a classic example where he'll tell you right up front that he's posted, and many of his posts go nowhere, and then one post gets shared, and he feels like, wow, he made a huge accomplishment. So small accomplishments, go a long distance as we get more and more of our body out there. So let me just go back to the hashtag a little bit. I'm going to mute you back up, Amy. As I was saying, the hashtag is like your digital signature, okay? There is one of your hashtags that you want to kind of make as on everything, okay? It cuts through all your social media, all your blogging, all your newsletters, all your emails, and it becomes your signature. And that one you stick with. And then you start to look at a broader hashtag, one that isn't that personal. It might be a genre. In Mary's case, it could be, start looking at, skyjacking, or, something that will attract a broader audience, okay? So you have to kind of go inside your potential audience's head and start to think, well, gosh, if I wrote a book on the crystal skulls, what would people be searching for? Okay, well, Anari is going to use crystalline skulls, or she's talking about using crystalline skulls as her branding component. But she might also choose to use crystal skulls, because initially, crystal skulls might be a bigger search term. And what she's, really doing is that she would be looking at bringing the audience in from the crystal skulls and establishing herself as the expert with the moniker crystalline skulls, okay? So 5 years down the road, people might in fact be searching crystalline skulls instead of crystal skulls. So if she does her job correctly, or if the universe is kind to her, that's an occurrence that can happen. We're really establishing ourselves as an expert in a topic. Okay, Mary Stevenson is the skyjacker's wife. So, hey, there are a lot of people out there that are really interested in what it was like to be that. And I know that you wrote that in your book. You talk about it. Now you take the component that Amy was talking about, little quotes from your book, and attaching them to pictures, okay? Maybe some of the pictures could be people jumping out of planes with parachutes, okay? And there's probably tons of those kind of things out there online. And you could take a look at that and say, okay, for the next month, I'm going to post a photo every day of people jumping out of a plane with a parachute opening up, and I'm going to use my hashtag skyjacker's wife, and I might try parachute jumping as a second hashtag, okay? Thinking that, people that are jumping out of planes with parachutes for fun might be interested in hearing the story. Okay, so you have to step outside yourselves, and you have to look at, what are the components of the book that I'm writing, and how would people search for it? Okay, I mean, people aren't going to search for a parachute, skyjacker's wife, by searching for blue skies. Okay, so you have to narrow it down to say, there's a famous a guy that stole money and jumped out of a parachute, and they never found him. I'm going to unmute Mary again, and let's just get the name. What's the name?
D.B. Cooper. He
D.B.
was the only one never found. There's real controversy over whether he survived the jump, because later on, some years later, they found a wad of the money in the banks of the Columbia River. And some people think he's off living the high life somewhere, got away with it, and others think, no, his body was just never found. But that was the event that inspired my, Vietnam rattled boyfriend at the time to do his act.
And so, D.B. Cooper would be a perfect hashtag. Okay, because it's so well known. Like I mentioned to my buddy here about you and your book, and the first thing he asked, well, was that D.B. Cooper that she was talking about? Okay, so that is a perfect hashtag for you to bring in interested people. Okay, and so you start looking outside of the box, outside of your topic. Well, not outside of your topic, but other topics and other famous topics that are similar. And that's your more general type of hashtag. And so what you're doing is you're pulling the interest from D.B. Cooper and you're branding it to Skyjacker's wife. Okay, so maybe 5 years from now, and and I don't know how quick it'll happen, but maybe instead of D.B. Cooper, people will be searching for Skyjacker's wife. Okay, those are the connections that you're looking for. It's the same between the crystalline skull and the crystal skull. Okay, so we look at, or the gal. The old gal that found one of the first crystal skulls when she was 9 years old. I cannot remember her name, but that can also be a hashtag. People might, know her name or be searching for it, or there's a body of stuff on the internet relating to her. So you pull that search term and connect it with your brand. So, we have the ability to do that. I'm just looking at the people, here online. Okay, Anaria, let me unmute you here. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, good.
So, for example, like, let's say myself and in Mary's case, I'm just getting this hashtag thing figured out here because I've been using them. And so let's say I've got in my blog, I've got a hashtag on the crystalline stellar skulls, or even crystalline skulls, or crystalline skull tribe. I've been like breaking it up into different flavors there. And then let's say I use, I want to mention someone else who's working with crystal skulls, let's say, who's got a big name. Would I hashtag, put their name in there and in my blog, say, and then hashtag them so that everything that's coming to them will also bring up mine?
That is the approach. I did a post, again, since I did the webinar on hashtags, I figured I better start actually using them and see what happens. So I put a post on Rama on writing this week. It was from Michael Hyatt. And I hashtagged Rama on writing, and then I thought, well, I'm going to hashtag Michael Hyatt. I mean, he's a famous guy, okay? And all I did, you see, this is the beauty of the system, okay? All I do on Rama on writing pretty much is I post articles. Okay, I'm on newsletters. I read a lot online. If I find something that I think might be helpful to us authors, I'll post that. Okay, now up until this past week, I never hashtagged it. Okay, so now all I do is I post the article, and you just grab the URL, you post that on Facebook, and then underneath that, I take a space and I go hashtag Rama on writing, hashtag Michael Hyatt. Now, if I were to do a blog post I would essentially take the same approach, and that's what I really wanted to get at today a little bit more, is to how to incorporate the hashtags into our blogs. Okay, so number of approaches here, gang. As you've heard me say, the most important component of your blog is the title and the first sentence. Okay, now, is there any reason why I can't put a hashtag in my title? This week's hashtag Rama on Writing webinar is, that could be the title of the blog. And then again, I can go in the hashtag Rama on Writing webinar this week, we talked about hashtags, hashtag. Okay, and so heck, some of this is experimentation, gang. You do not get anywhere if you don't experiment with these things. Okay, if you ignore them, you're not going to leverage their effectiveness. And if you don't try something, you don't, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Okay.
Let me ask you something else about that. Let me use the title of my book. I've been playing with this back and forth, because at first the title has been "Who Are the Crystalline Stellar Skulls?" with a subtitle, "Could They Really Be Sentient Beings?" So it's title and then subtitle. So then I was talking to a friend, and she said that she had read something about, well, in your title, if you could make your hashtag, your brand, the first words. So instead of putting "Who are the crystalline stellar skulls?" should I put just crystalline stellar skulls, and then who are they? Could they really be sentient beings underneath that?
A great strategy. I think that this actually gets missed by a lot of authors. And, for whatever reason, I tend to be different. Okay, I recognize that. I think differently than other people. And the name of my first book was really The Rise of the Gnarly Crew. Okay, and that's the cool title. That's what the book is about. But if you think about those terms, those are really, who knows about that unless I spend some time hashtagging Gnarly Crew, okay? Then I become a brand with that. So what I did was I said, well, that is the title, but I'm going to put that as the secondary title. The first primary title is going to be Sedona Mountain Biking.
Yes.
Okay, now you see the difference between those two terms, right? Which is the searchable term, Sedona Mountain Biking. Now, what happens next with that, with the titling? Okay, so now we have our two titles, right? One being our branding search term title, one being our descriptive title that's really the one that we love, okay? Now, what do we do next? We go to the back cover. And we use the same terms, okay? So now in my description of who I am, I write, Rama John came to Sedona in 1989, and he became the father of Sedona mountain biking. Okay, search term number one, right there in my bio.
Yes.
Then I go to my description and say, Ramajan was the founder of the Sedona mountain biking community. Okay, keyword twice on the back cover. Now I go to my introduction, okay? And again, I leverage the search term. Okay, now the reason I mentioned those three areas is those three areas tend to have more legs initially than the book might, okay? You're going to use your write-ups on the back. You're going to cut and paste them, and when you go to Goodreads, what are you going to do? You're going to put the author bio and the description of the book, okay? I posted my introduction long before I posted my book because it wasn't available, right? So utilizing those kind of information sheets, information topics over and over again with your search terms. And hashtags and search terms are like this, okay? They are the crossed fingers. And ultimately, I believe, and I've been contemplating this with my second book, is am I actually going to use the hashtag in the description on the second book? Probably. I'm going to probably use the hashtag term and develop the brand right on the book cover. Okay, I'm not sure yet, but you see, I truly believe that the hashtag is going to change and is beginning to change the way everything is searched. And so why not take a gamble? What do I have to lose? If I don't like it, I'll change it at some point in time. Not a big deal. Okay, so I'm hedging a bet here. I'm saying, well, the use of hashtag is going to grow, so why don't I just hop on the bandwagon now? And, you know, I may not see the full result of it right away, but ultimately I suspect that I will see the result from it, because it's going to be the way we're going to be searching stuff. You know, a year from now, when we decide that we're going to search about crystal skulls, we're going to plug directly into Google hashtag crystal skulls. Okay, we're not gonna search crystal skulls. Okay, so that's the hedge. That's the bet that I'm gonna hedge. Okay, I'm gonna say, well, gosh, you know, I can see this is the wave of how things are going, and you know, it's a you can't lose. Okay, now there are several, let's say, theories of presentation. Okay, so let's get back to our blog for a second, and we're going to utilize hashtag Rama on writing, hashtag, okay, so let me take a step back and say, one of the things I was thinking about this week was, well, gosh, what if we were all to blog on a topic? And as I was looking at my emails throughout the week, I got a great email from one of my authors who is in the process of getting reviews and testimonials. Okay, and you know, he's a funny guy like I am, and he kind of made some jokes about how it's very difficult to get book reviews. So I thought, well, heck, if we were to all write a blog about hashtag book reviews, okay, what we would do is that we would all attract an energetic synergy about book reviews, and within a short period of time, let's say we had 10 people that were all did a blog posting about that, posted it with a hashtag. Let's say that we use the Rama on writing hashtag, book review hashtag, and then one of our own personal brand hashtags, okay? And so we would establish this whole body of blogs overnight with consistent hashtags. Okay, now if you see where I'm going with this, okay, is I'm thinking about, well, okay, when Anaria does her book launch, what would happen if 20 of us wrote a blog about Anaria and her book, utilizing the hashtag crystalline skulls, okay, if that's the one that she's, you know, what would happen? Okay, I mean, you can think about it, and we don't know until we try it, right? But think about 10, 20 people all doing the same thing, even though that's a small number compared to the millions and billions of people online. It's probably not something that's done very often, working together in a consistent fashion, okay? And overnight, you know, coordinated with that book launch, we would be able to attract attention to Anaria and her book, okay? Very simple exercise. So that's the goal of what I'm starting to build and why I'm starting to build it. And it goes back to the initial question that that Mary had is, how does all this stuff help me sell books? Well, that's how it's done, right? It's a concerted effort, working with a series of consistent hashtags, okay? Now, I have not read anywhere where this experiment has been done by anybody, okay? I mean, I like to say that, hey, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't know the most about all this stuff, but this stuff seems very logical to me.
I agree with you. It makes total sense. And because then it's also going out onto, let's say, onto each individual's Facebook and their social media, which then just starts moving. So that if we did that, as people's books were coming up and we jumped on their book with them, that would be us promoting their book. And because once it's out there, it's going. And I agree with you 100% on that. I think it's a fantastic idea. And plus, since we're getting to know some of each other on a little bit of a scale, and then we'll so that if everybody say, okay, use this as the hashtag in your blog for the launch of my new book, give us like a little idea of what our book is about, so then we jump on it, put it out there. I mean, look at, even if we did, for like, you take someone like Tom, as I've been reading more about Tom in this first chapter and who he is, it's like, if enough people heard who he really is and what's going on there, he would be selling his books. It wouldn't be as difficult, because there's two things going on. First of all, it's the group consciousness coming together makes a huge difference, and working together makes a huge difference to me. And very few people are doing it yet. And yet, from my team point that comes and talks to us all the time, that one of the things that they keep saying to us is, and I'll just tell you this as an example, because rather than me working, I have a little crew, and we call ourselves Team Earth. We were named this, and they keep saying, you are some of the, and it has taken me 3 years to get that article up onto Sedona Journal with 2 people's names on it. Because they kept saying, oh, we'll do it, but it only has to, we can only give, it has to be so-and-so with so-and-so. And I go, give me a break, And so I can't even begin to tell you what a big deal this is. And yet our team said, Anaria, stay on this, because you are setting the example as working as a group to co-create together. And this is what people need to do to be successful. It is to come together and co-create, whatever it is. And here we have all of these possible co-creations of everybody's books. So Rama, you are spot on with what you are talking about here. Spot on.
Well, you think about it, it's so obvious, it's so simple, and
yes.
if you go back to all the big spiritual teachings, they always say it's so simple, and we try to make it into something difficult, right? And I mean, it just looks and seems so obvious with it. Now, the one point I want to make, in addition to what you just said, is that there's no reason why, because your article is a print article, that you shouldn't have hashtagged it, okay? At the bottom of the article, hashtag Crystalline Skull, hashtag Team Earth, things like that. So I want to make that point, that every kind of medium that we are working on, those hashtags will help and be effective at getting the word out further. And, as I say, I think that our biggest asset and resource is our numbers, and let's just say it's the Tom Bird crew, okay? We've all been brought together here to write our book. Okay, and we're working very independent. We're, we don't know each other. We tune in to webinars and we see faces, and we get an idea that Mary wrote about Skyjacker's wife, and Anaria writes about crystalline skulls. But I know essentially what your books are all about. I don't know what your brand is yet. So one of the things that I really think I want to request from everyone that's online here today is I want you to send me your hashtags. Okay, I want to know what they are, so that, I talk about them, right? Obvious, right? And by talking about it, we get that synergistic effect. We start to develop a program where we can share the momentum. And I truly think that this is the direction that I've been searching for the last 2 or 3 years. And, if I was smarter than I was, I would have realized that hashtags have been going on a lot longer, and I just never really understood what their purpose was, okay? I saw them, I kind of boo-hooed them a little bit, and you listen to some of the the cartoony type things on TV, and they're talking hashtags, and it kind of sounds stupid, okay? And in some cases it is. Don't get me wrong, but if you look deeper, why are they talking hashtags? Well, okay, there is something to it, and we just need to perhaps look at and sort through it a little bit so that we're not overdoing it, and that we do it in a concerted way. So
also Jimmy Fallon does a bit on hashtags once a week, and he he'll go through a hashtag, and then of course he'll say the hashtag and make it into something funny, but what it's doing, it's educating people. I thought, oh, this is brilliant, so people get what hashtags are. And otherwise, a lot of people still don't know.
Well, and it is true. You see, that's why I feel we're still at the tip of the iceberg, and that if we don't jump on the boat right now, it's going to leave without us. Okay, and that we'd be reticent to. And we'd miss that whole wave. Okay, it's a little harder for us because we're older. Okay, we don't think hashtags. The generation that's coming up now think hashtags. That's how they think. And of course, we're thinking, well, that generation isn't book readers. Well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Okay, we don't really know. We have opinions, right? But ultimately, we can start looking about this. Okay, so let's go back to the blog again so that we can visually understand how to incorporate the hashtags in our presentation, okay? So I think I mentioned this last week, and I'm going to mention it again. I see 3 different options for the utilization of hashtags in a blog post, okay? Option number 1, we can have hashtags before we have the title of the blog. Option number 2, we can have our hashtags at the end of the blog posting. Option number 3, we can have the hashtags in the blog posting, which would include in the title and in the first sentence, and perhaps in the body of the posting as well, okay? I wish I could tell you which one is best, but I can't because I don't know. So I would recommend experimenting. Okay, one thing that I'm pretty convinced of is that every time we post anything on our social media, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Pinterest, Instagram, whatever social medias you're posting to, we want to make sure to attach our brand hashtag. Okay, I see that Tom Carroll is the webinar, and he's got a classic hashtag. I mean, his is the title of his book, hashtag the Oracle. Okay, everything that he comes out of this guy's mouth or comes off of his pen could be hashtagged the Oracle, hashtag the Oracle, okay? And then maybe the secondary hashtag is, from the description of his, it could even be his secondary title, which is, I can't remember offhand. I'm going to ask him, I'm going to ask Tom to tell us what his second hashtag is with kind of putting him on the spot here. Okay, okay, you do it.
Good morning, Rama. Yeah, it's hashtag the Oracle, run together, and then guidance for growing a soul. And then, of course, any pertinent words, anything that's relevant. And if you're lucky, anything that is in the news cycle, hashtag that. And it seems to me that people are putting hashtags in the body of their blogs. So I don't know that there's any, beginning, middle, end that's better. Just slide the sucker in there.
Well, I think you're right that I'm starting to see it more and more. I think initially people shied away from it. The strategy, initially when I started to relate keywords to blog postings, the strategy was to kind of piece it together so it wouldn't appear that you're trying to leverage the terms. Okay, I think in this day and age now, leveraging the terms is the way. Okay, I think people accept that and they understand it. Okay, so I don't think it turns people off like it may have initially, or maybe the people that were writing about it just felt that this was a possibility, so they kind of created this mores that don't put your keyword, or you have to be careful with your keywords. But just to go back, I'm going to mute you back up, Tom. I'm going to try to mute you back up. There we go. And I'm going to mute Anaria up too for the moment. She's you're all good at unmuting yourselves now, so I don't have to worry about it. One of the really important components about a blog is the title and the first sentence. And the reason that it's important is that if you actually post a blog to your WordPress website, there's something called the back office component of WordPress. And what it does is it looks at your title and it looks at your first sentence, and it puts them in a category, or it's not a category, it lays it out so that if someone were to search on those terms and your blog came up, you would see the title and you would see that little description. So that's why it's important to have your keywords or your hashtags in those two components. Now, if you want to manually adjust those components in the back office of your WordPress website, you can do so. So if you wanted to use a title that didn't have your keywords, you could go into the back office and manually adjust the title in the back office component that would have the keywords. And you can go to that first sentence description and you can manually type in something that has your keywords. So the component is to look at those two parts of your blog posting. Okay, those are the critical components, and it doesn't matter whether you do it and let it be done automatically or you, on the back end, go in and adjust it. But it's a lot simpler and easier if you don't need to take a second step. So it becomes easier for us to just put it in there as a habit. And then you'll save yourself time. And then, as Tom mentioned, I'm starting to see more and more hashtags in the midst of posts. just like they were words. And maybe, 5 years from now, we won't have words anymore. We'll just have hashtags, okay? So who knows, right? Now, there's also, and I don't even know what this is yet, right? But because I do research and I look and I think, I found the word @ in Twitter, and @ something or other is also a hashtaggy type symbol. So ultimately, there are going to be other symbols that are used similarly to hashtags, okay? This is an ongoing process. That's why, pretty soon we won't have real words. We'll just have symbols and a word and symbols and a word, and our posts will start to look, like a different language. And, that's cool. That's the evolution of how things may come to pass. So, as I say, I want emails from all of you. I want to know what your hashtags are. I want you to think about your hashtags, okay? I want you to grab some branding hashtags and stick with them, okay? I want you to look at some general hashtags and experiment with them, okay? Now, when I say experiment, a good experiment takes time. Okay, so if we're going to be posting in social media, let's say that we're going to post 20 posts on social media this week. Let's take our branding hashtag and let's take one general hashtag and try it for a week. And let's look at what, if any, results we get. Okay, I think that we're all going to be astounded. As I say, immediately on Instagram, the hashtags started to have an impact. Of course, Instagram is the younger generation social media. They're already using hashtags, okay? It's part of their life. Facebook, maybe not as much yet. Twitter, definitely. That's where the hashtag came out of, is Twitter. Ultimately, gang, it's all going to be owned by the same company, whether it's, all the social media will probably get bought up by Facebook over time, okay? It will all be owned by Facebook, just like everything else is owned by Google. And Amazon sells everything, okay? So what we're going to see is a huge consolidation. And once we see that, then there's a huge crossover that we'll be able to benefit from by utilizing the hashtags in all of our social media. So as I say, emails this week, I want to see what you're thinking, okay? And then if you're going to take the effort to send me emails, you better use those hashtags, gang, in your posting, or we're really, wasting our time on this approach, and we can't really afford to. Now, some of you don't have books yet. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be working in social media with hashtags about your book. And it really has come to the point in my mind, and this is the next step of evolution. Okay, so I go to Instagram, I take a picture, I hashtag Hawaiian Magic, I hashtag Hawaiian sunset or something else, right? And then I think, gosh, maybe I should hashtag the title of the Hawaiian book. Hashtag Dharma teachings. Okay? So, boy, now I'm starting to build a whole repertoire of things, okay? And then, well, gosh, now I start to think, well, I've used Hawaiian Magic as my name on Instagram. Maybe I should use Dharma Teachings as the name on Instagram and just use hashtag Hawaiian Magic as a hashtag instead of as a name. I don't know. It's just this is the evolution that we go through, okay? We don't know everything right from the start. That's why we experiment and say, what happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? And the reality is that we do need to give it time, okay? And in this day and age, a week may be time, okay? If we're going to post 20 posts on Instagram this week, boy, that's a sampling. We will get a result. Or we'll be encouraged enough to try the same hashtags for a second week. Who knows what will happen until we hit the right hashtag. Now, Tom Carroll actually made a really, really good point. And this is the next step, is to take a look at what's trending and see if there's something trending that we can leverage. For example, maybe this week we had a lot of volcanoes go off in the world. Well, Rama's in Hawaii. Maybe I should hashtag Hawaiian volcano. Okay, who knows, right? You know, so you look at what is trending, and if you don't know, you just, what's trending on Twitter this week? Put that in Google. What's trending on Instagram? And you will get information. And you'll say, oh, look at this, number 100 is something very, very related to what I'm all about. I'm going to utilize that hashtag. And by doing that, you bring in a whole group of people that might find you. Okay, whether they will or not, I cannot say, but there's a chance now where before there was no chance of grabbing that audience, okay? So this is how we start to look at our audience. And sometimes we have to take a step away from us and put ourselves in the shoes of our audience, the shoes of people who are going to want to read our book. What are they thinking? What might they be searching about? And then trying to take a look at that term and find out if there's something that's trending that's similar to it, and then leveraging those components. Well, anyway, gang, you know, I don't have a whole lot more to say except that I would like to have those hashtags sent to me. I would like us to establish a experiment, and you know, since we have the next book launch that we have, I think, is Mary Stevenson, the Skyjacker's wife. I think that maybe we can try an experiment with her launch, okay? So what I need from Mary is I need a quick synopsis of what your book is about, so that we don't necessarily have to read your book to know what to talk about. So maybe some buzz points as to, you know, make it seem like we've already read your book. Because, you know, I can't make anyone read a book, but I can force the issue on a blog post. Okay, so let's try the experiment. Mary, I'm going to unmute you. I know that your launch is coming up soon, okay? I don't know the exact date. So when is your launch, Mary?
It's supposed to be August 27th, and as you and I both know, that's going to kind of depend on if the ebook gets finished by then.
Yeah. Now, there are two components here, and this is really a good thing to discuss. Okay. Now, Mary is working with Denise. Denise has an ebook version of your book right now, and so she can utilize that to optimize the information, and we can replace that with the corrected ebook for your launch, okay? So sometimes we have to use an incomplete product in order to give Denise the time to optimize and to figure out the categories. You know, what she normally does is that she will take the PDF that the author has, and she will run it through a conversion that is not a perfect ebook. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it's hideous. Most times it's usable. It's not perfect, but it gives her the tool that she needs to optimize it so that she's not sitting there on pins and needles waiting. For example, Tim Farrow's launch started Thursday. What day did we actually have the ebook? Thursday. Okay. So what we did was Denise was able to put it in place of the one she was using as a dummy. And, I suspect that, we were all on pins and needles, but it did come through in the time. Okay, so Mary, a synopsis of your book. What are the important points? What kind of things could we write about prior, without having to actually read your book? What would we take away from it? And give us the talking points, so to speak. Now, we can take an approach here, Mary, and this is a possibility. Okay. The week before your launch starts, maybe we should put you on the webinar for your author interview, and maybe we can get at the information that we need, so coming out of that interview, we can take on the assignment of writing that blog posting about the Skyjacker's wife, utilizing Mary's hashtags and our own hashtags, and putting that together and having that come out literally the week of her launch and seeing what happens with it. I mean, I think it's a valid experiment. We have a guinea pig here that's engaging. So I recommend that we take this approach. So if you don't have any problems with doing that interview the week before your launch, let me schedule it. Let me publicize it. Let me build a little momentum behind it so that for a few weeks even prior, we're, the email that goes out to the 6,000 people on Tom's mailing list talks about Mary Stevenson. That even in the email, I start putting those hashtags in there. Right? And we start to, build the momentum so that when you do the launch with Denise, you're hitting the ground running. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then we can take this approach. We have a huge number of launches happening in September. I don't know if we can all blog that much about authors, but maybe we can. Let's take a look and see if we get any result on our first experiment. So that's my proposal. If this does work, we can actually even take a topic. As I say, the topic that came to mind for this week was book reviews, okay? Because if we start talking about book reviews and we hashtag, we will create, we could create a lot of energy behind a topic, okay? So what we can start to do is we can hit the general topic a week or two before a book launch that has more specific on that topic. So we can have a double momentum rolling. And as we build a program to help each other hit that number one point, then we can work it. And even if you don't have an official Denise book launch, we can certainly propel every author with some momentum to help them work with a soft launch or a hard launch. Okay, so that's the direction that I want to take. I want to experiment with Mary Stevenson because she's here and she has a book launch, and I don't see, if I look at the faces, I don't really know when other people are launching. I know Dolores will have a book launch, Jean will have a book launch through Denise. I think Holly will have one. I have a couple of phone numbers. I'm not sure who those people are. And we can work with that system. And then we can go back and we can take a look at some of the other authors like Tom Carroll. We can put him up on an interview again, and he can actually start talking about his platform as opposed to only his book this time, since he's further down the rabbit hole than he was when we had our first interview. And we can all blog as a result of that and give him a little push. And so we can try some experiments with it and utilize our synergistic effect. So that's a direction that I would like to move in as we, experiment with hashtags, as we experiment with our blogging, giving all of us incentive to, number one, use hashtags, number two, blog more, and number three, help each other. So if anyone's got any comments or ideas, you can unmute yourself or you can wave and we can talk about it. Otherwise, I'm going to get back with Mary and we're going to schedule her interview to go the week before her launch, and we can develop a blogging campaign that will help Mary get to that #1 spot in her Amazon launch. Any questions, comments, ideas that you have? I'm open to talking. Okay, well, as I say, I'm going to look for hashtags from all of you. So you all have my email. You can send me your hashtags. Okay, Jean, what's on your mind?
Hey, I did decide to change the name of my series. I chatted with David Thalberg yesterday evening, and so we're going to call it Mystical Aria. The first book will be Mystical Aria, Seeking the Galleon Queen. So I've already bought the domains for the series name, so I think that will work out better.
And it sounds like a great hashtag, hashtag Mystical Aria.
It is. It is. So I'm finishing up the form. I'll revise the form and probably send it to you on Monday. I also need to get the headshot, so I want to send everything all at once for you. And I also need to revise
she called at 8 and I can hear the phone.
some of the front matter and back matter. Just make sure I've got the right title in there.
Sounds good, Jean. If you haven't sent the spec sheet, why don't you make sure to get the right name on it? And if you did send one, just do a second spec sheet and send it in, and that way I'll have the correct name.
Finally.
One of the things I encountered this week on one of the spec sheets is that the author only had the primary title, and I looked at the spec sheet. I said, oh my gosh, that title is too vague. So I asked her, well, what's the secondary title? And she already had it. She just didn't have it on the spec sheet. So, those spec sheets are used by the team, and if we don't give them the information, they don't have it. So let's make sure we got it.
Okay, I'll send it to you first of next week.
Sounds good.
I sent it.
Uh-oh, we got Tom Carroll talking on the phone. I better mute him up. Okay, any other questions, comments, ideas? Amy?
Got a question. I have yet to, the only social media presence I've got is under an alias that I'm not going to be writing under, nor under my own legal name. And kind of debating on whether or not to use a pseudonym, a pen name, on this first book or this series of fiction. And this same author I was telling you about, this author friend, had said that I really needed to be using a pen name, a different pen name for the different genres that I might write in, because oftentimes, there is a certain synergy of cross blending by using one name, but when the audiences are two totally separate, like science fiction versus nonfiction in an IT genre kind of thing. That I should probably be, his recommendation was that I should be writing under two different names. And the reason being is he has written other things under other variations of his legal name and in several other different genres, because oftentimes the audiences really don't cross.
You know, it does happen. Okay, just 1 second, Tom. We do have MJ Delapina, who's a criminal attorney, and she writes her nonfiction under her name, MJ Delapina. She writes her detective novels under a pseudonym called MJ Hatch.
Okay, so I should go ahead and kind of choose my pseudonym for my fiction and just kind of start going for it and start setting up the social media so that I can actually participate in some of these exercises.
You know, I think that would be good. If you go on to Instagram, you'll see names. No one uses their real name on Instagram. Okay, and this is really a different sort of thing from all the other social medias. Okay, I mean, so take a look at that and you know, think about it that way. But there's no reason why you can't use two names. Okay, now Tom has a feeling that we should all use our real name for our books, and I'm not sure if I agree with him on that, because in my case, for example, my first book, if I had used my real name, I wouldn't have had any credibility. People would have had to take a step and find out who that person is, because that's not what I was known as. I was known as Rama or Rama John. And so, you know, I think that we have our own freedom on this one, as long as we're comfortable with what we're doing and we have a plan and we're gonna stick to it and be consistent with it. I think that that's all that we really need to do. Okay, Amy. So come up with your names and stick to them, and you'll be fine. Okay. Tom, you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm just going to insert an opinion. It's no more than an opinion, but I look at Michael Connelly, for instance. He has written a variety of different styles of books. Of course, he's known for his criminal thrillers. However, I would have never known about his other books, some of which were interesting, good. I would have not known about him had he written under, what do they call it, a nom de plume, whichever. My feeling is it's hard enough to develop presence in the social media world. Why do it twice? So for my purposes, and I'm going to always write under my own name. If what I write is good, then although it might be in a different genre, I would hope that people would see my name in a second book, a second style, and flip over and at least give it a try. And I haven't had to duplicate all this effort to make a particular name known.
You know,
your situation is different, Rama. You wrote under as Rama, but that's what you go by. I mean, it's not as though it's a different situation. You wrote under the name that people know you by, and you're sticking with it. So anyway, I say that's my opinion. I've thought about this as everyone. I noticed Michael Connelly. I can't think of other examples, but they do exist. So, and famous authors who write under their own name. It seems that and I can so easily be wrong here, but it almost seems like an archaic convention. Lewis Carroll, for instance, I was disappointed to find was not his real name. Anyway, there you go. Opinions are like orifices, of which we all have one.
That's a good tagline there, Tom. Anaria, you had a comment.
You just said something about Pinterest. People don't use their real name. Was it Pinterest?
No, it was actually Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. So, well, why? What's the deal there?
We're a bunch of kids. We do what we want. What the heck, you know?
What the heck? Okay, so but there's no particular reasoning. They're coming up with, they're taking on another personality so that they can play with the Instagram. Is that what it is?
You know, I've seen that some of the names are related to an interest. You know, like a lot of yoga type names. You know. There's a gal that lives in the house here, and she posts to Instagram as Mystical Crew, KREW. You know, I use Hawaiian Magic. So I think that you know I don't really have a knowledge base on this, but I just noticed that very rarely do I see a real name on Instagram, and it is a curiosity. It really is.
Yeah. Well, then, so for myself, I could use Instagram and then start bringing out quotes or little paragraphs directly from the crystalline stellar skulls.
You could be crystalline skull girl. Or something like that would be a classic, you know, kind of a classic Instagram name, right?
Okay.
So, you know, something like that could work. And, you know, even though Tom did mention, you know, definitely an opinion, sometimes in our social media, we use a different name entirely than our nom de plume or a writing name. So, you know, we can take all different strategies with this, and, you know, there is some merit in consistency and not having to duplicate it. So, you know, I don't think that there's any hard and fast rule that we need to maintain, and it's all relating to our own personal preferences.
Rama?
Yes.
To Tom's point earlier, it seems to me that a person who wants to establish credibility in a certain genre might confuse the reader if they're all over the place under that same name. And so I can see, for example, Anne Rice wrote a whole series of erotic novels that if anybody had read those while they were trying to read her vampire series of books, I think would have been a little shocked, actually. So that's a good example of that. You know, if you want to really establish yourself in a specific, along a specific genre, using a pen name is probably a good strategy.
You know, and, you know, erotica definitely tends to go in that direction because a lot of people feel if they write that and they want to write something more serious at a later point in time, that they don't necessarily want to bring that baggage with them or that genre with them. So, you know, good point. You know, there are no hard and set rules in this game. You know, we get to cut our own course, and you know, we can take whatever approach we want. But there's merits. You know, there's merits in both directions. You know, and as Tom mentioned, I've got the classic situation. I've got a nickname, and it doesn't matter what genre I write with. I'm still going to stick with that nickname as who I am. So, you know, that's my difference. That's my strategy. Any other comments before we go on to breakfast today?
Question.
Okay.
I would bring up something.
You know, let me get Kathy to speak, Tom, and then we'll move back to you. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Kathy.
Because I'm not as advanced as everybody else here, what is my homework? Do I just come up with ideas for hashtags?
Yes.
Okay.
ideas for hashtags, and we can talk about them. You know, we can actually, if we want, we can stay on this conversation next week a little bit more, because I think it's really, really important for all of us to understand how it all goes together. And I think that we're all at different places. We all, you know, some of us do social media, some don't. Some of us have books. Some of us are working on our books, so we're in a whole range. And I think that we can all learn from each other here. And so I think I may keep this conversation going a little bit, and then I can also start to, you know, to coordinate the Mary Stevenson experiment. And as I say, once we get the Mary Stevenson experiment done, I think that we'll be moving from author to author, and we'll start to, you know, see what kind of synergy we can build as a community, which is has been one of my goals from, you know, ever since I started working with Tom. You know, I had developed a mountain biking community. We have established an author community, but we haven't necessarily utilized our, you know, our resource. And now let's take a look at how we can utilize this resource.
So, Rama, I can't tune in next Saturday, but I will be coming to the retreat soon. So maybe we could talk a little further. But I'll definitely send you some hashtag ideas just to move on it. And I'm starting to do a little bit of research on it myself. So thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Tom, what do you got?
Well, on a completely different topic, an email came through this morning. Someone that is outside the Tom Bird group, writing a book, had read Stephen King's treatise on writing. And apparently he says in there that something to the effect that writers are born, not made, and if you're not a good writer, you can't be made. You cannot learn to be a good writer. If you're a bad writer, you can't be brought up to a good writer. And if you're a good writer, you know, it's very difficult to learn to be a great writer. Well, that's pretty harsh, but I'm not sure but what he doesn't, that there isn't something instructive, something that we should really take seriously in there. I'm saying this because over the course of all these months, we have not spent a whole lot of time on the writing craft. You know, what are we doing to actually become really good writers? I think rather than ramble on too far here, I want to suggest to people a good piece of advice that I picked up a long time ago. Read a lot. A phenomenal author that I read said that the way he learned was to hand copy all the works of Alan Watts. And in that way, he picked up much style, word use, rhythm, that sort of thing. And then, of course, there's the content. In the process of that, he was growing himself and learning, becoming really adept and facile in his particular topic. So writing then is a combination of being good with words, being facile with the language, but also knowing our topic very well. Fiction, of course, then takes us off in a different direction. We can make it up as we go. But I simply want to suggest to people that they write something and then take what they write and compare it. Read something, read another author, and imagine how that author would have said what they said. Not using cliches, for instance, not using archaic words, not using phraseology that's just sort of clever, something that they've heard someone else use and have always been dying to say. I wonder if there isn't a way that we could have a discussion sometime about what it means to be a good writer and what we can do then to learn our way into the craft. Is anything I'm saying here interesting to anyone?
Tom, it is actually a really good topic to talk about, okay? With that said, I think that ultimately we all want to be considered good riders, and we all want to get better. Now, with that said, I would take a step back and say, I personally would prefer to be considered a good marketer than a good writer, because ultimately if you have a bad book and you're a good marketer, you can still become successful and make a living with your book. But that's the tongue-in-cheekness of Rama, okay? I don't really want to diminish what you're saying, because I think that deep down inside we all want to consider ourselves good writers, and we all want to get better. But we also have to look deeper and say, well, ultimately we all want to be good marketers, because if we're going to waste our time, and again, this is the tongue-in-cheek, if we're going to waste our time writing this book, we want to market it and be successful at marketing it. So I think it's a twofold step. And one of Tom Bird's stories is that he talks about the 50 Shades of Grey and how terrible that is written. And as you can see, it's a movie now, and it's sold how many copies? So ultimately, yes, we want to be good writers, because that gives us satisfaction, okay? We feel that we've got a craft and a skill, and we're getting better. And on the other hand, we want to be better marketers, or we want to be damn lucky.
Well, it's yes, you're right. I lost exactly what you said there. We want to be good writers. God, I'm sorry, little brain fart there. One of the reasons that I buy particular writers is because of their writing skill. For instance, if you're a thriller reader, a crime novel reader, as I am, I read Michael Connelly, I read Daniel Silva, and a small handful of others. The genre is absolutely full. You could read until you go blind and finish it. But I find, particularly as a writer, that my taste has narrowed in that I look for really high quality writing, really good use of the language. So I think marketing, yes, but a part of the marketing is having a good product. So anyway, I think I've made my point there. However, it might be something we might want to explore as a group in more depth.
It's a great topic, Tom, and I put it down on my list of potential webinars. So I think we will address it. Dolores, you had a comment?
I just wanted to add something. As a former teacher, I had a lot of students who came through my classes who didn't write very well, but a well prepared and well designed creative writing course is a really neat thing to participate in, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who thinks that they don't have the best possible writing skills that they would like to have for their efforts. It can be lots of fun, and you can meet a lot of people in there, but you can also learn a lot about writing and punctuation and phraseology and syntax and the whole business, and come out with a product that you would be proud of and can actually convince you that you can write.
You're here to good teachers. At the risk of dominating, anything that I say, I wouldn't want to be heard as a discouragement to anyone. We should all start with conviction and enthusiasm wherever we're at, and just write our little fingers off, but we can get better.
The bottom line is that if we are comfortable and confident that we are good writers, it's easier to be a good marketer because of the exuberance that we have for our product. So it all does go hand in hand, Tom, and it's a great point, to develop our craft, and what does it mean? So I really think that this could be a great topic, maybe for next week even, is to talk about what is good writing, because what you may think good writing is for you may not be the same as it is for me, and to know the different the different opinions will help us become better writers. Maybe we'll incorporate a different style into our writing that we hadn't thought about, because it's thought of, we think of it as being a good writing style or technique. So great topic. Anyone else? Kiara?
Yes, please. Can I ask you to recap, please, Rama? You said about the hashtags within your blog, and there were three examples you gave. And I missed the first two. The third one was hashtags and blog posting in your title and your first sentence, and again in the body of the post. But there were two other places, and I missed them.
Okay, what I've seen and what I've experimented with is mostly putting in hashtags at the end of your post. You've all seen people that post and then have 20 hashtags afterwards, okay? Now, I think that that's a little bit extreme. So I would limit any post to 2 or 3 hashtags, okay? That's what I read, and I don't really know. But that's just a gut feel. Now, the other place that I suggested that you could put the hashtags is that you can have them at the front end of the post. So even before the title, you could have your hashtags, okay? So I've just seen it all 3 different ways. I don't know yet what I feel is best. I like including hashtags in the midst of the body of the post, and I like having hashtags at the end of the post. But I have seen people do it at the front end.
Okay.
I'm going to make it a point this week of looking and seeing what can be Googled up about the strategy. So I'll come back with a few things next week if anyone's interested.
Sounds good, Tom. I think that this is an ongoing discussion about hashtags until we beat it dead and we all hashtag everything. We start talking hashtags and breathing them, and then maybe it won't be so alien to us, and we'll have finally gotten it. I can just see our conversation 6 months down the road. We're all talking hashtags.
We'll be slinging hashtag.
There, I like it. Slinging hashtags. Oh, there it is. I like it, Tom. Very creative. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go on to breakfast. Next week, I don't know exactly where we're going to talk about, whether we talk about good writing or whether we talk about slinging hashtags. We'll borrow Tom's ideas regardless, okay? Take care, everybody. It's been fun. I think that I've learned a little bit today. I hope you've all learned a little bit. And as I say, I'll be looking for those emails. Ciao.
Bye, everybody.